one of the things that you've talked about in a few different forums, you've been interviewed on this, you've been on stage talking about this, is your four pillars of the science of marketing and talent, insights, operations, and lifecycle. What I'd love to do is start picking apart each one of those because we're at LinkedIn now, and I know you've developed quite a bit of muscle fiber, putting together a lot of the playbook there, and then ultimately exercising it more and more and iterating more and more at Twilio and HackerRank. Can you go through the basics of those four pillars and give us a little bit of sense for how your frameworks work within each of them? So maybe we can start with talent and then move from there. Is that okay?
Yeah, of course. So talent is about, meaning it's a number one, and it doesn't come from me, it comes from LinkedIn, the driving force for success. And it's something I learned at LinkedIn. I appreciate it at Twilio, and I appreciate it more at HackerRank. It's about how you're going to build your team, who you're going to hire, and how they're going to be able to scale, right? Not having any compromise on who you're going to hire. And the process we had, I think across the company, but you can tell me, was when you hire somebody. So first, we were not hiring somebody for their current job. From the job description, we were hiring somebody for their capacity to grow and scale and be in a job 2 years from now. Up to you to understand what it means to be 2 years from now. But when you are in a high growing startup, you never hire people for what they're going to do in the next 6 months. That's not going to work. And the number one thing is people will go for interview process, will decide who will test and what. But at the end of the day, when we will regroup after talking to a candidate, 100% had to be a yes. I know it was same on your end, I think. And 100% had to be a yes. Otherwise, we'll pass on the candidate. It doesn't mean the candidate was a bad candidate. That the guy could be like super smart, super sharp. It's just it did not work. But two things that are really important. Number one is people knew that if they said no, there will be consequences, right? Meaning that person will not get hired. You have to work with people who understand that. And number two is if somebody said no, you can go back. If you have 1 out of 7 people saying no, you have the opportunity to get back to that person saying, hey, you are the only no. Just doing one last check that you're 100% no, because we're going to pass on that candidate. And the person had to be, I'm going to say smart, to even maybe come back and say, hey, actually, let me recheck my notes. Let me check that. And maybe I was wrong, which not many people are able to say, or I was right and I stick to my view, but I was wrong and actually I'm a yes, and let's move forward. So first is no compromise on hiring talent and spend the time it will need to find the right person. The other one is hiring is a full-time job. And initially when you build a team, it's not the thing you're going to do at 7 p.m. Is you just want to block your calendar to just have that muscle and spend the time partnering with your recruiter, looking yourself in your network and so on. But like, it's a full-time job. And then is when you've done all that job of hiring, next step is onboarding, and after it's nurturing, right? It's how you're going to help people understand who they are as a professional and what are they good at, what are they less good at, and it starts there. And what is the path for them to grow through and it can be a year plan, a 2-year plan, whatever it takes, to ensure that you assemble the best team possible, a team that is going to collaborate. I think collaboration is at the heart of it. I think specifically in marketing, I'm not going to talk about other organizations, but in marketing, you're at the center of so many things that if you don't have like collaboration/communication skill, it's going to be a little bit hard to succeed. Right. So that's one. The second one for me is demanding excellence, and demanding excellence in how, meaning across anything you do. And the third one is passion for your job. I can talk more about it, but I think when people ask me, like, what do you look in a candidate? I'm like, okay, you look for the skill and so on. I'm going to look for culture fit and passion. And passion, both are going to be equally important.
Yeah, excellent. And when you were going through these interviews, ABP, always be pipelining, like you said, just building that muscle all the time. You're the CEO of the hiring process. You own the hiring process. As you're going through the interviews, how would you? What was the calibration exercise like after that? What were the nuts and bolts of that method you used to calibrate with the rest of the team after you were done with the interviews?
Yeah, so the way it was working is for every, we do this today at HackerRank, we have something called job guidelines. When we agree what are the skill sets that are needed for the job. Okay. And we define the skill set and what we expect from them. In the same way, I love to have passion for the company, passion for the job, which I have two different, which are different.
Yep.
And then I had culture, values,
yep.
As part of the scorecard. Okay. What we do is everybody has to, so there is no like, oh yeah, I didn't have time to update, and I'm just sending you an email and saying, hey, it's going to be okay now. Everybody has to fill the scorecard. It is super important. Here at HackerRank, depending on seniority level, if it goes director and above, actually the entire package goes to our CEO. Wants to review it. If you don't have the package ready, he's not going to approve it. Like, he's not even going to interview with a person. And if he's not part of the interview process, he's not going to approve the package. So the person will never get an offer and everything. So it's just like, it's pretty core. So we have alignment and discussion pre interview process, not for every interview, but when we start a job search. And then what we do, which takes time, but is worth it, when you interview a couple of candidates, is having debriefing sessions. I do believe that often the first 2 or 3 candidates you're going to bring on site could be for calibrating the team. What is happening when you are growing that fast is you have many new hires, and you're going to have to understand their interview style and what they value and what they don't value. And I think those post-interview meeting with a team of interviewer and just agreeing on saying, hey, I thought he was strong at that, and somebody else didn't say, no, he was like super weak, and ensuring that everybody is on the same page on what we expect and how we value those skills is really, really important. So calibration, I think, on the couple of first candidate is my take when you have a more junior team or new team within the organization.
Yeah, that makes sense. Your teams at such hyper-growth businesses, those teams are always new, always getting used to the process. Also, a smaller business, obviously, always getting used to the new process. So, as you're bringing people on board and you're onboarding them, do you have any couple of tactics you use to make sure you're bringing them on board and starting to onboard them most effectively?
Yeah, so actually it took me time to find the right onboarding process. Of course, you want to put the document together and say, that's what you're going to have to do. And I think that recently I finally found a good way to do it. And what is happening now is on my team, when you start, day 1, it's already on your calendar actually when you start, there is day 30, you have to present to the entire marketing team. And so what do you have to present? So we provide them a template. I'm a big template guy. And the template is, what is your job? You're familiar with that? In less than 15 words. What did you understand is your job? Less than 15 words. To execute your job, I have something called Relationship 15 is, who are the 15 people for you to be successful? We can go deeper on that. And less those people. You have 5 people which are for you to be successful, 5 for your team, and 5 for you to grow in your career. A stop, start, continue. And people are surprised by it. They're like, I just started. I'm like, yeah, but I hired you based on your expertise, right? If you're super junior in the job, I'm sure you have a point of view on what we should stop doing, start doing, continue doing.
And fresh eyes.
Fresh eyes. And give your point of view. And it's just to empower people to say, tell me what you think. Like, I'd love to know what you think. And the last one is, what are you going to achieve at day 60? And what do you plan to achieve at day 90? And people, so this is a forcing function for many, many things to happen before the presentation. Because by doing that, by presenting this to the rest of the market, so they present to the entire marketing organization, to my entire team. And the goal is not like to boo them and say, oh, you don't understand anything. That's not what it is about. It's also to want the person to be accountable for what they're going to do. Number 2 is to understand why they were hired for, and just set a high bar, like not day 1, but it's kind of like, you're going to have to do that. And people realize that presentation better be good. So it's just set the bar for how they're going to have to deliver and ship moving forward. And 3 is for people in the team to understand who they are and what they're going to do, what the new hire is going to do. So it solves a lot of things. And having those meeting milestone day 30, I think it's wherever I'll go next or what I'll do, I'll repeat that.